All right, 7:30. So let's get started. Um, Remember to record this one. I forgot last week, which was a rookie mistake, but we're recording now. So I'll post this recording to the hub when we're done. So it usually takes a lot of process, so that'll probably be on there tomorrow. I have another PowerPoint for you guys. Got some videos to go through because tonight we are going to talk hitting now. In the past, I've really got in depth with a lot of hitting mechanics. We're going to get in depth with some hitting mechanics tonight, but I don't want to overwhelm. I don't know if that's the right word, but go over too much and just flood you with so much information that you don't even know where to start. And I think that when we talk hitting mechanics, that's really easy to do. There's so many things going on in the baseball swing, so many moving parts, and they're all working together that it becomes really difficult to really pinpoint what we need to focus on when we're training hitting, when you go back to training after hearing all this information. So what we're going to talk about tonight is really just what we need to be focusing on to become a better hitter. And becoming a better hitter is way more than just having a pretty swing. Okay, so we're going to talk about having a pretty swing. And there's a reason that almost all big leaguers have a pretty swing because it's required to hit at a really high level. But there's some key aspects to what makes their swing so good and so efficient. And that's what we're going to kind of focus on tonight. I am always more than willing to talk little details with any of you that want to reach out to me, and we can talk and send me video, and we can do all that kind of stuff. And as we go through the off season here, and we have more of these webinars, we'll probably have some webinars to talk about specific pieces of the swing, because I mean, to be honest, we could have a entire webinar just talking about the lower half. We could have an entire webinar just talking about how the upper body is going to work in our swing. So we'll probably be doing that as well. But tonight is just a webinar to go over the overall aspects of the swing that we need to be focusing on and make sure that we're hitting these three little or more than three, but these main points that are required to be a really good hitter, regardless of what your hitting philosophy is. Okay, so let me share my screen here. Okay. All right, here we go. Well, looks like I didn't finish my summary, but we'll talk about it. Oh, you guys are getting a sneak peek. All right, so becoming a better hitter. Okay, so a couple of different things that we need to be training to become a better hitter. 3 factors that are going to impact performance in game. Okay, swing mechanics. Now, these aren't really in a particular order as far as what's more important, but swing mechanics play a factor in the success we have in the field. Our approach and mentality play a big factor, maybe the biggest factor of them all as far as success on the field. And our strength and conditioning and explosiveness also play a huge role. Okay, we got Chris Oates here, one of our Georgia players, taking a nice swing, switch hitter. Okay, but these are what we're going to be talking about as far as how we should be training and what different aspects of hitting that we're going to be talking about. So, number one, we're going to talk about mentality. Okay, as I said, this might be the most important part to being a good hitter. I don't care where your swing mechanics are. If you're confident, if you're aggressive, if you go up there with an approach and a mentality to have success and you're competitive, you're going to have success in baseball. Okay. Now, certainly if our swing mechanics only work at a 7 out of 10 as far as how efficient and how mechanically sound they are, then that's only going to get us so far. But really at the level that we're all playing at right now, which is high school or even younger than high school, your approach and mentality, if we can get that dialed in and over time you make little adjustments here and there on your mechanics, you could play for a really long time. Okay, so how do we train mentality though? Because that's a really big, I think, question mark for a lot of kids. And I don't think many people train their approach or train their mentality really at all. And it should be trained and it should be thought about almost daily. Okay, so number one, kind of way that I think is a great way to train it, or at least improve in it, is to, be a guy that wants to learn and have conversations. Okay. Conversations with other good baseball guys, teammates, coaches, older players that train at your facility, right? Always be picking their brain. You hear about big leaguers, like the best guys in the game of baseball that we all play, picking the brain of former players, right? Barry Bonds has been a hitting coach in the big leagues for a little while now, and you hear the best players on whatever team that he's coaching. And it was with the Marlins, and Christian Yelich was talking about how he's been learning from Barry Bonds because they talk and they have conversations. Barry Bonds is one of the best to ever do it. Now, big asterisk by his name for a reason we all know, but he had one of the best swings of all time. He found more barrels and drove more balls than almost anybody in the history of baseball. Okay. So he was doing something right. And even the very best players in the entire major leagues, Christian Yelich being one of them, is still learning from those guys. I learned throughout my career more from my teammates and coaches in game, just talking in the cage, talking about approach, talking about how I handle certain pitchers when they're attacking me this way. What should I be looking for? What pitches am I swinging at? Right. That's how we learn. And it's a process. Like, you're not going to go one off season and have the best, get to the end of and have the best approach you could possibly have. It's a process. It's an evolution over time, but we have to be of the mindset right now that we're always learning. We're always asking questions. We're always talking. And it's difficult to continue getting better in this aspect, your mentality and approach, if we're shy, if we're scared to ask questions. Okay. I get excited when I have players, especially young players, because it's rare for really young players to want to ask questions. Okay. And I know for a fact that when I'm coaching a kid and I'm just talking to him and he doesn't I know for a fact that I didn't explain everything perfectly. And if you're afraid to ask questions, then you're not going to fully understand what we're talking about. So it's a back and forth conversation. Hey, I've really been struggling on guys with sinkers, and like a sinker slider guy, he's attacking me in with that sinker, and then I'm swinging at sliders in the dirt or off the plate. Like, what should my approach be there? Those are the kind of conversations that we have all the time. And everybody's going to be a little bit different. Okay. So you need to learn as much as you can from as many people as you can and figure out what makes sense to you. You are your best coach. And we're going to talk more about that because at the end of the day, it's your career. It's your at-bats. It's your success on the field or your failure on the field. So it's your job to figure out how to make adjustments and what you need to do to have success. So you need to be the one that's learning. Don't expect your coaches to teach you everything you should ever need to know to play in the major leagues. I didn't play in the major leagues. Okay. So I can't teach you what it takes to play in the major leagues, but you taking bits and pieces from everybody, okay, and making it your own is going to give you the best shot to keep improving. Okay. Now there's certainly drills that we can be doing to work on approach and mentality. Okay. Pitch recognition, selection drills. So I do these a lot with my players, especially as we move closer to the season or even in season. I'm going to be doing these drills every single day with my players in season, because what we're training is the ability to make a decision, have an approach, trust the approach, and execute that approach. Okay. So one that I really do a lot, it's really simple. When someone's front tossing to you, we're just not alternating. I usually do a progression. I'll throw change-ups to him. He'll have to adjust his body to be on time for the change-up. Then I'll alternate fastball and change-up back and forth. So they have to adjust from pitch to pitch, even though they know what pitch is coming. And then I'll just completely mix it up. It's completely random. Okay. When I mix it up, I say, we're hitting the fastballs. We're taking the change-ups. We're not allowed to swing at the change-up. We're not allowed to take a fastball down the middle. So every single pitch, we have to be on time for that fastball and trust our body to adjust to those changeups. Now for this drill, I make the changeups fairly obvious because we're front toss and we're pretty close. And if you can make this drill as hard as you possibly want. You can make it almost impossible. But this is one way to just train your approach, train your mentality, learn to trust yourself. Okay. Trust is everything in this game. If we can't trust our approach, then we really don't have an approach in the first place. Okay. Having an approach means that I'm going up there with a specific plan. I understand how this pitcher's attacking me because I've been paying attention. I've watched my teammates hit. I see how this pitcher's attacking. I was a right-handed hitter, kind of a gap-to-gap guy. I'm watching, especially watching, I watch every single bat and pay attention to every single bat my teammates take, but I'm really watching how this pitcher's attacking similar players to me. So that when I step in the box for my first at bat, I don't have to wonder how he's going to pitch me. I already have an idea and I already have a plan of what I'm going to do to attack this pitcher and put myself in the best position to have success. Okay. And I have down here work. Okay. I'm 100% believer that preparation equals confidence. If we prepare and we do everything we possibly can to put ourselves in at peak performance when we go into a game, we're going to be confident. But if there's doubt in our mind where we know that, subconsciously, I didn't really do everything I could have possibly done to get ready for this, we're not going to be confident and we're not going to have success. Okay. And Steve Springer says this all the time. Okay. I was having a conversation with him and he said, confident Christian is way better than not confident Christian. Okay. And that goes for each and every one of you listening to this. You got two different people going on and it's a constant battle. You're going to go 5 games in a row with multiple hits. Okay. You're going to be hitting over 500 through 5 games. And then all of a sudden you're going to go over 9 your next 3. Okay. Why does that happen? Because we allow one bad at bat, maybe even one bad swing to carry over to the next. Then we lose confidence and then it just spirals from there. Okay. The best players understand that, number one, that's going to happen sometimes. We got to learn how to get out of that downward spiral. And that's really just comes back to our preparation and our routine. And if we have a solid foundation of a routine and our preparation, then we can easily get back into that confident self that's going to have the most success. Okay. And building on that, okay. I'd say this all the time. Aggressiveness equals confidence. Okay. Aggressiveness equals confidence. Which one comes first? To be perfectly honest, I don't know. I've been in situations where I'm just really, really confident and I am letting it eat at fastballs that cut the center third of the plate. Okay. And there's been other times where I'm not confident at all. And I have to force myself to swing. I have to force myself to be really, really aggressive. And that's really uncomfortable. But because I did that, I build confidence, right? So aggressiveness equals confidence. And sometimes aggressiveness comes first. Sometimes confidence comes first. Okay. But aggressiveness equals confidence. Confidence equals trust. Trust equals good decisions. Good decisions equals success. Aggressiveness equals success. Okay. I was really paying attention to this during the playoffs and the Major League playoffs. Okay. I would be willing to bet that the average number of swings in a Major League at bat is over 2, meaning throughout an entire at bat, if we average it out across all the at bats in the big leagues, most hitters are swinging 2 or more times. Okay. Obviously, sometimes they put the ball in play in their first swing, but they're really, really aggressive. They are not allowing that pitcher to control their at bat. And when we're taking pitches that we can put in play or put a barrel on, now the pitcher's in control. Now we're at the mercy of what he's going to throw next because he just got ahead of you with a fastball right down the middle. But because we were thinking about his changeup, now we took it. Now we missed a good pitch to hit. Now he's going to throw that changeup, right? So I would, and just from being around youth baseball or amateur baseball for several years now and just been coaching at that level and being involved in it, I would put my house on it that the average number of swings in a high school at bat is under 2, meaning hitters aren't as aggressive. And that's why only a small percentage of those guys move on to the next level. Okay. When we watch the big leagues, it's the small percentage that moves on from high school to college baseball, and even smaller percentage that move on from college baseball to professional baseball, and an even smaller percentage that moves on from minor league baseball to the big leagues. Those are the guys that we're watching, and those are the most aggressive hitters in the world. So there, we have to look at that and say, okay, if we're going to be a good hitter, then we have to be aggressive, right? And certainly as an organization, we can do such a better job of that. Okay. And that's partially on me. And that's why we're doing these sorts of webinars, so that you guys can get this type of information and start implementing it into your game. But aggressiveness and confidence, that all comes back to our mentality here. Okay. So how are we training that? How are we getting better? Having conversations, working on specific things to help with your approach. Okay. And just overall effort and time that we're putting in working on our craft to build that confidence. Okay. So in general, that is how we're training mentality. And guys, obviously I like questions. I like when people are engaged. So if you have a question, put it down in the chat. It gives me a little notification. I can answer your question. Okay. Strength and explosiveness. Okay. Last week we talked a lot about weight training. Hey, it's a huge part of becoming a better better overall athlete, but certainly a better baseball player. I think it gets, we're at a point now, and I guess where we're at in baseball development, it's just getting better and better and better as the years go on. That not too many kids are missing out on weight training. Almost all of you in the high school age group are probably in the weight room, I would guess. Okay. You guys are at the tippy top of your class as far as your potential and how good of a baseball player you are. Okay. You all want to play college baseball, so you're all probably in the weight room. Now where the difference is made, it used to be some kids were working out, some kids weren't. Okay. The kids that were working out obviously have an advantage. Now everybody's working out. We're all on the same level. So now it's about what we're doing in the weight room is going to separate you from the masses. Okay. So we got to make sure that we're doing the right stuff. We spent a pretty good amount of time last week talking about this. I got a little video here to play for you of UCF baseball, just talking about their strength and conditioning program. But look at the big leagues. Got guys all different shapes and sizes. Certainly there are some behemoths there. The Paul Goldschmidts, the Miguel Cabreras, the Aaron Judges. Okay, they're huge people, but they also have great baseball skills, and certainly being that big and strong helps. But you don't have to be that big, okay? But you got to be strong, and we got to be strong in the right places, and explosive in the right places, and mobile in the right places. Okay, rotational, and from a hitting perspective, rotational power, core stability, hip mobility. Training your posterior chain, hamstrings, glutes, back, scap, and your overall explosiveness, or what's going to impact how well we can move our body throughout a baseball swing. Okay, so here's a little video, UCF baseball. I picked it because my brother's in it. I'll point him out. If you don't know my brother, you might not even guess that he's my brother based on how he looks, because I'm a country boy. I usually have a beard. I shaved it today. He's got tattoos. There he is.
Nutrition and strength conditioning are vital parts of this program. And just to see the guys, obviously bringing the freshmen in the summer and getting them started early on that, and just to have the guys back. And Joe does a great job really pushing the guys in there. Just a lot of intense moments. And, the guys are just really getting what they need out of it in order to help them not only perform, but stay healthier and perform longer periods of time and later in the year. And so it's a big part of the foundation of our program. The way we recruit, the type of athletes that we're bringing in, a big part of their development is in the weight room and making sure that we're getting as big and as fast and as strong as we possibly can, but also making sure that it's all fast twitch so that guys can move faster on the mound, move faster in the box, not just about foot speed, but about being able to move as fast as they possibly can in the movements that they perform. And so
it's a big part of our program. Coach Lovelady is huge on getting in the weight room, moving some weight, getting stronger, faster. But he's also big on movement, mobility, being flexible, making sure guys are moving well, and and efficient movement patterns to keep us from getting injured. So all of it's important. It's not just coming here and crush weight every day. We try to program and do everything, so that guys can progress as efficiently as possible, so that come season we're ready to go and stay healthy. Nutrition is one of the most important things that Coach Love emphasizes here. We do shakes after every lift. We do shakes post practice. We try to educate the guys on how to shop, how to cook, because that's the most important thing if we want to improve our body composition and improve our performance and get stronger and stay healthy, in the long run. It's a long season. So if we're not taking care of our bodies, then we're going to be in trouble. So that's one of the biggest things that we work on is, encouraging guys to eat healthy and buy into proper nutrition habits.
It's been awesome. I mean, for our guys to be able to utilize that, and to have a place, not only just to eat a great meal, but also to be able to interact with each other, with other athletes. But it definitely, the nutrition side of it being such a vital part of our philosophy, having a place like that is giving them the right amount of food with a quality taste and be able to kind of keep their macros in check and have a plan and be able to stay with their plan is a huge, huge advantage for us.
Okay, so when you see a kid on Perfect Game, you look at the roster, he's committed to UCF, pretty like one of the best players in the country. Okay. And every single one of these programs like this has some kind of strength conditioning and nutrition program just like this. We can't just neglect that and expect to get there and then we start this. All these kids were doing some sort of this training before they got there. So we got to make sure that's a big part of your training. And I hope you can understand that almost every player development webinar we have, strength conditioning is going to be in it at some point. That's how important it is. Every single aspect of our game has to be developed or improved within the weight room. Okay. And most of you guys, especially you younger guys, that this takes years to develop. So it's not like, oh, I'm just going to start training my junior year and expect to get there. Okay. This is a long process. Consistency is king when it comes to getting stronger, putting on weight and becoming more explosive. So I thought that was just a good video, kind of showing you what it looks like when you get to school. And these kids were the best players in high school. Now they get to school and now they're on an even playing field again. Now it's about what can they do now to separate this team from the other teams, or as an individual, you from the rest of your teammates that you're competing with for a starting job, and the rest of the kids in the entire country to get your name called on draft day. So very, very important. And we're going to keep talking about it through the weeks here. Okay. I got more videos here. Again, I'm going to put this PowerPoint in the hub so that you guys have access to it. And you can go watch these other videos as well. Just some other ones. Bo Bichette, his strength coach and how he trains in the off season he's a really intelligent guy. A couple of those are his videos. So mechanics, the moment you've all been waiting for, what everybody wants to talk about when we talk about hitting. Okay. It's by far the most trained aspect of hitting. I mean, everybody goes in and works on their swing. Okay. But based on what I've seen, I would argue that we're not working on our swing in the right way. Okay. Meaning we're not focusing on the things that we need to be focusing on. Okay. The biggest difference in training for me, what I observed from high school to college to professional baseball was, in high school, it was go to practice, get your swings. If you go hit with your buddies, you're just joking around, having a good time, getting swings. And that was enough. Or at least we thought that was enough. Okay. In college, your team has a program that you're doing. Your coach's job is to get your whole team better. There's not a ton of necessarily individual work. It's the majority of it is teamwork. So you're doing specific things, but it's meant to get the team better as a whole. Okay. When you go in and hit, you might be working on one specific thing, but as far as changing what your body's doing and really focusing on mechanics, at least from what I experienced in college, we were missing that aspect. Now you get to professional baseball. It's your job. It's your livelihood and your career on the line that is based on your performance. Okay. So the training gets ramped up big time. The jump as far as the focus on training from college to professional baseball is way bigger than from high school to college. Okay. Because there's a lot more riding on your individual performance, and let's be honest, a professional baseball, there's more, you're focusing more on what yourself rather than what your team is doing, because it's your career. Your minor league team isn't moving up to AA, AAA in the big leagues. It's individuals that are moving up. So if we can just learn from that, okay, and instead of waiting till you get to professional baseball to have that type of focus, and now when we get to college, we have that type of focus, those are the kids that move on and they excel at the level that they're playing at. Okay. It requires a different level of focus than the masses are doing. Okay. So when your high school buddies are just going and taking swings, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay. But if you have specific things to work on, in your training is just going to the cages and just blasting music, and I like blasting music when I'm hitting. That's not a good example, but just joking around with your buddies, then we're not really improving. Okay. We're just repeating what we've been doing. So if we need to make adjustments, then we need to focus on those adjustments. And we're going to talk a little bit about that here as well. Okay. The most important thing. Okay. I wish I could highlight this. I should have highlighted this on my slideshow here, but the most important thing to being a good hitter is being able to find barrels and execute situations. Okay. By far the most important. I don't care what your swing looks like. If you consistently barrel the baseball, and when you step into the box and you have a situation with a runner on third base, less than 2 outs, and infield back, and 80% of the time you can hit a ground ball to shortstop and score that run, you're a great hitter. I don't care what your swing looks like. Okay, so we put so much emphasis on pretty swing mechanics, but at the end of the day, if we're not training to control the barrel and execute and put a barrel in the baseball, even when we're not perfectly on time, then we're missing the boat, because we train off the tee, off front toss, off batting practice, and off the machine to be perfectly on time all the time. And we when we get into the game, we're hardly ever on perfect time. So we got to be training to put our bodies in a position to be able to adjust, so that when I'm not perfectly on time, which is most of the time, I'm still able to put a barrel on the baseball. Okay. That's what a good hitter does. Watch the big leagues. They'll have some bad swings and still find a way to barrel a ball and hit it over an infielder's head. Okay. That's really, really important. So when we're training, we need to put ourselves in tough situations where we have to adjust. We don't want it to just be simple all the time, where we're just taking easy swings off of BP that's right down the middle every time, because that's not helping us get better. That's not translating into game speed when we're facing a 15-year-old throwing 88 to 91 miles an hour, right? So we got to put ourselves in a position to be able to adjust. Okay. Here are the 3 things that we need to be an elite level hitter. Okay. These are general. We'll get into these a little bit more. I'm already running out of time here. I knew I was going to go too long talking about hitting, because I love it. Okay. But we got to be sudden. Sudden means that when my brain tells me to swing, my barrel gets moving. Okay. If we watch big leaguers, you can see the millisecond that they decide to swing, because when their body moves, their barrel moves with it. I watch amateur hitters. You can see the millisecond that they decide to swing there too, except their body starts moving, their weight starts shifting, but the barrel doesn't start moving yet. Okay. That's called lag time. Lag time is when my brain tells me to swing, but there's time in between that electrical signal sent to my body and my barrel get moving into the zone. That's when we get blown up by above average velocity, which means we got to make a decision early, which means we're making decisions on pitches that look like strikes and end up being balls. And as we climb levels, pitchers get really, really good at throwing pitches that look like they're good pitches to hit, and they end up being somewhere else. Okay. That's why pitchers get so good. I remember when I was 16 years old and I started seeing guys throwing 90 for the first time, and it wasn't really that hard to hit for me. I was like, and a light bulb went off. I'm like, oh, so velocity isn't how pitchers get guys out, because these kids are throwing as hard as that pitcher that I just watched pitch for Vanderbilt the other night. And that pitcher's way better than the kid I just faced. Right. So there's a lot more to what the pitchers are doing to you at that level than just velocity. So we got to be able to train to mechanically to allow ourselves to be able to move up levels and continue. There's certainly adjustments to make along the way, but put our bodies in a position to be able to handle those types of pitches. Okay. Direction. Think of direction as left to right. Okay. My barrel and hands have to be moving through the pitch pretty much in the direction that I'm hitting it. Okay. I have a picture on the next frame that shows that really well. Okay. So sudden, got to be able to swing when we need to. Direction, we got to be moving through the pitch. And plane, we got to be in the zone early, staying in the zone for a long time on the plane of that pitch. Okay. Direction certainly impacts that a little bit, but average major league fastball comes into the strike zone at -8 to -12 degrees. Our bat path should be matching that at about 8 to 12 degrees, give or take a degree or two. Okay. All right. Key areas to focus on with your mechanics. Number one, and these are in order, which I focus on with my hitters. Okay. I don't move on to step 3 here before number 1 is correct, or at least this individual hitter proves to me that he can do this. Okay. Number 1, where's your weight at launch? This is so incredibly important. I can't even put it into words. Okay. And these 3 things, there's a lot of swing mechanics that are controversial. You get in big arguments with, there are major league hitting coaches that can get in arguments about swing mechanics. These 3 right here, I would get on ESPN and argue with Stephen A. Smith and whatever other guys there are on there about these. That's how confident I am that these things need to happen. These are 3 things that I was missing in my career. Yeah, I got to my ceiling and I was missing this stuff. And when you're missing things like this, you get to your ceiling and we can't break through unless we change these. Okay. Where's your weight at launch? Weight has to be in the back hip. You see David Dahl here. I played with David when we were 14, and you probably would have guessed he was going to be a big leaguer when he was 14. He was that good. Okay. But weight has to be in the back hip behind the front foot. You can see front foot's out in front of his head. You can see here. Okay. I stopped this and screenshotted this at the launch frame. So the very next frame that we go to on this video, his hips are starting to turn and the barrel's starting to move. As you can see here, his front heel is still off the ground, which means that all his weight is here. Okay. Again, if we break down to most amateur hitters, there's all his weight's in this front foot before the barrel starts to turn, the hips start to turn. Okay. That's a major difference. That is what shows me where our weight is at launch. It has to be from the backside, because this right here, number 1, where's your weight at launch? That's going to affect everything else that our swing does. Okay. Number 2, what direction's your knob moving to start the swing? Okay. So we can think about the knob or what directions our barrel moving. This is Mark McGwire here. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you can imagine what position he was in at launch. Okay. And then you can see here, the knob is turning pretty much towards the second baseman. Okay, so the barrel, if you can imagine this, I know this is just a picture, okay, but if you can imagine this, his barrel staying tight to his body through that initial turn of the swing. What that means is now he's inside the ball. Now he's behind the hip, so our power source is driving the swing, okay, and now he can finish out through the ball, which leads to number 3. Where do your hands finish through contact? Okay, so I know that the videos here in front of this last picture. So hit that little line there to collapse the video so you can see this picture of Michael Conforto. But he drove this ball out to left center, up Otako. Okay. Look where his hands are finishing, out through the baseball. Okay. This is a great picture to show what that should look like. I mean, it was a perfect pitch, outside corner, fat 2-seam, and he stays through it because his hands and bat are moving through the ball. Okay. Well, that doesn't happen if we're in the front foot at launch. Our knob moves to the pitcher first rather than the shortstop for a lefty. Okay. We're not inside the ball or behind the hip. And then if those things happen, then we finish across their body. So he either swings and misses at this or hits a little foul ball to the third baseman or foul territory. Okay. So those 3 things are incredibly crucial. And I don't want to get into like the nitty gritties right now. Cause like I said, I could spend 3 hours easily 3 hours on this stuff, but these are just the main things that we need to focus on. Now, I have a file full of drills for you guys. So when I post this to the hub again, you can get into this PowerPoint, copy and paste this. And I have a file that has probably 12, 14 different drills, working on different things, but you guys all have access to that. Okay. And as I said, as we do more swing, or excuse me, player development webinars, we're going to talk more about that. Okay. So real quick, I don't have much time left here. Okay. But this is Juan Soto. Juan Soto, very minimal movement in his body throughout the swing. Okay. But number one, okay, I talked about weight being in the back. So here's the launch frame right here. Okay. His swing is launching at this point. Look at his front heel. Okay. If his front foot was completely into the ground, we know that there's weight being accepted there, and that's going to cause us to spin. But because he's behind, all his weight's in his backside, he's able to swing how he does. Okay. Now, we're not going to be, this is what I would call perfect timing. Okay. We're not going to be perfect every time, but if we train this and we're able to do this consistently, now when we're not perfectly timed, we can adjust from this and still have a good enough swing to put a barrel on the baseball. Okay. Knob turns. His knob kind of starts up slightly anyway. Okay, but turns this move right here. Hands aren't sliding forward. He's turning the barrel. Knob's moving to the shortstop. Okay, now he's behind the ball and he finishes out through it. Okay, we got Ozzie, World Series champ. He has a lot of movement in his swing, but notice he's pretty calm right here with his body. Like he's staying in his back hip. So when he launches his swing, launch frame right here, front heel is still off the ground, and he's launching it into the ground. Knob turns to the second baseman, so his barrel stays tight to his body, opens to the ball, finishes out through the ball. Okay, this right here is very rare for an amateur hitter. I haven't seen many guys. We had one that was unbelievable at this a couple of years ago, Bobby Marsh. He's playing at FA. He's a freshman at FAU now. He's got elite swing mechanics, and he hit at a really high level. So those are the things that we all need to be focusing on. Okay, so quick summary. I got less than a minute. Make sure we're training all our aspects of hitting. We can't miss. If we don't train mechanics, we're not good enough. We don't train mentality, we're not good enough. If we don't train strength and explosiveness, we're not good enough. So make sure we're training all of them. Learn to swing from the backside, create a tight turn that works from the inside of the ball